Yo, what's poppin', guys, and welcome back to another episode of Platformer Quest. Today, we're big balling on some platformers. You already know how it goes. You know what? It's a Chipmunk platformer. How could it be bad? Right? Surely Chipmunk has a good platformer. Let's go. Copyright music, Chipmunk. That's how many levels there are, Chipmunk? Holy crap. Alright, let's go. Okay, Chipmunk, you gotta find your physics a little bit. Holy crap, you're so slidey. I'm sliding everywhere like I'm on crack cocaine. I'm on crack. Chipmunk game, in parentheses, on crack. We got some trampolines, huh? See, look, Chipmunk can make level design that's not garbage. Like, this level design, it's not bad. See how it's not walk forward, jump over 2 spikes? See how there's, like, actually something going on here? There are actually challenges that are posed in ways that aren't overtly frustrating, but are still challenging. That's how you make a good game. But nobody seems to know how to do that. See, like, there's a challenge here. That's not because the game is coded bad. It's because I'm just bad. Like, there are challenges to overcome. And this is something that platformer creators don't understand how to do. You can make a challenge that isn't pixel perfect jumping. Like, it's possible. And it's demonstrated here. The challenges in this game are good. They're not overtly hard, but they're good. You know? Like, see, even Chipmunk did the thing here. The thing, don't touch the springs. But that's not the entire gimmick of the level. There's more going on here. See, and he does it in 2 different ways. He does it there, too. That's not the whole level. Look, he has the inverting spikes. That's been done before. But he does it in a way where it's reused. It's reused here. It's reused in the same level, in the same space, as to not be repetitive. It's good level design. This is good level design. I don't understand what is so hard for platformer creators to understand about making your levels not a bunch of hot garbage. Like, this is a good level, or good game, excuse me. Yes, I'm struggling with it, but it's not because it's so overtly difficult to the point it's impossible, right? That's not why I'm failing. I'm failing because I'm bad at video games. That's why I'm failing. See, like, here's the thing. When you're designing a game like this, right? Especially a platformer, every death should feel like a fault of the player, not of a fault of the game or the level design, right? I might make a whole new video on just talking about platformer stuff because I'm feeling it right now, right? Like, see, I died there because I didn't gauge and didn't remember where the spikes were going to come up. That's my fault. Right? And I know it's my fault. With platformers that exist right now, some of your deaths don't feel like your fault. Some of your deaths feel like the game's fault. And that's the problem. That's the problem, that it feels like the game's fault and not mine. That I lost. When it should feel like my fault, because in this game, it is my fault. See, now I'm rushing too much instead of waiting. And I'm trying to edge and get into that little crevice when I can't. Well, when I can, but I'm just too bad at video games. That's the biggest part. Everything you do in your game should feel like you are in control. Yeah, I sucked at that level, but I was in control of why I sucked at it. And, like, the gimmicks that are used here, they're not overdone. And they're done in such moderation, and they're taught to you at the correct times when they should be taught to you. Right? Like, what is being done here is being done very well. The levels are progressively getting more difficult, but not in a way that's borderline impossible. This is a good game. This is a game that doesn't make me feel embarrassed to have on a platform that I use, like Scratch. I feel like I've seen this level before. Have I played this game? I feel like I've seen this exact level before. I've definitely played this game, haven't I? Uh-oh. I've definitely played this game before. No, I have. Oh, I have. I've played this before. It's this level that made me realize. Well, whatever. I'm still making a good point. I'm not going to restart the video because I'm talking about something that I feel needs to be talked about. Because usually I just yell at platformers. I just say, you're bad. Be better. But, like, here, now's your guys' chance to actually hear my reasoning. It's because they're not good. This is a good platformer. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself playing this. And you might realize, Deku, he's doing the next screen. Don't you hate the next screen? Yeah, I do. But you see how it's a transition. It's smooth transition. See, it's a nice smooth transition. You see how when Chipmunk does that transition, it doesn't take 14 seconds. Also, listen to the music. Go play this. Go find his game and go listen to the music. It's probably copyright. I'm doubting he made it, which is fine to an extent. Especially when the music isn't blowing my eardrums out of my skull. Just turn it down, you guys. Turn down the volume of some of your games, please. And you see how there's a wide variety of levels. There's not 6. There's probably over 50. Or probably is 50 is more of a correct answer. See, look how he introduces this new enemy. And it's gonna be reused because you introduced it correctly. It's not some one and done type thing like so many platformers like to do. So many platformers that I see, well, they'll introduce a gimmick and then they'll never use the gimmick again. That's not how you, you defeated the purpose of the gimmick. Don't put it in there. Like, so many platformers add water, but they'll use the water once. It's dumb. Right? You know what I mean? When you introduce a gimmick, you should use the gimmick. And you also should only introduce gimmicks when you feel the player has gotten used to the last gimmick that was added. That's what makes a gimmick good. Arbitrarily throwing a gimmick in each level just so you can start making hard levels is not good. Right? Say you introduce your movement, right? Cool. Your first level is understanding the movement. Then the next level, you introduce the spikes. Cool. You've introduced your enemy. Now get the player used to the enemy before you introduce the water, right? Don't introduce movement, introduce enemy, introduce water, introduce bounce pad, introduce levers, introduce keys, and then make one level that's all of them. Don't do that. Introduce your movement, get the player used to the movement. Introduce the enemy, get the player used to the enemy. Introduce your water, get the player used to the water. And keep in mind, when I say get used to, make a few levels centered around this new thing you introduced. Right? Don't make one level and don't make one level about it and expect people to just get it. It's bad design. See, look here. This thing is being used in a different way. He's not just putting it there arbitrarily. I have to think about when I'm going to go down and when I'm going to time it. Because I have to keep in mind that as I come back up, it will be coming back. It'll be coming back around. It's something I actually have to think about, and I can test here. Okay, yes, the line there kills me too. I really have to test this stuff out. Boom. And now I learned the timing. I learned how fast it spins, and I got used to it. So look here. Introducing it another way. Like, Chipmunk is using the things that he's adding multiple times to get you used to how they work. See how long it took him to introduce these spinning things? And now see how he hasn't introduced something new since, because he's still getting you used to the thing he just introduced. He didn't dogpile a bunch of random garbage on you at once. And see how he's actually actively using them to create something interesting each time around. This whole level is a bunch of timing. And it's done really well. You don't need to have a scrolling online multiplayer platformer to have a good platformer. Sometimes your platformer can just be good by itself. Sometimes it can just be good. Right? And you see, Chipmunk's character isn't necessarily unique. But you've never seen this character anywhere else before. You've only seen this character in this Chipmunk game, unless somebody else has used it. Right? When I make fun of the character designs of these platformer characters, I'm not saying they're bad because they're simple. I'm saying they're bad because that's all you do. Have some chickens. Boom. Something new. What do the chickens do? Oh, look. The chickens are bad. The chickens are bad. Oh, but look. You can jump on the chickens to get a jump boost. Look. They introduced moving trampolines that he's introduced before. Something that the player's used to. Trampolines. Jumping. Something new that was introduced. Combining three things actually that were introduced. Well, combining two things that were introduced, combining something new. Trampoline, enemy, and movement. He just took what he had, put them together, and made something new. And he will now use these three things together for the foreseeable future until the player gets used to doing it. And that's how you make a good level design. Get the player used to something before giving them something new. That's really all there is to it. Your level design doesn't have to be incredible, but it has to flow and it has to pace. It can't just be garbage. It doesn't work like that. And I understand why people do it. I understand the appeal of, like, I want to make levels with all these things I have. So I'll introduce them all really fast so that I can make that level that I wanted to make. But it's not going to feel satisfying. Could you imagine if you were playing Mario, and in the first Mario level, they introduced Goombas, they introduced Koopas, they introduced Kamek, they introduced Bowser, they introduced Springs, they introduced the key doors, they introduced P-switches, they introduced power blocks, they introduced thwomps, they introduced every boss in the game, they introduced... If they introduced everything in Mario at once, it wouldn't feel... Like, yeah, then they can add all the fun parts of the later levels, but they didn't give you time to get used to what they just gave you. So now you're confused. That's the problem. That's the issue at hand here. It's not that your games are inherently bad, which, first of all, they kind of are if you're doing what I'm talking about. It's that you don't introduce everything correctly in a way that feels good to the player. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to introduce something. If it goes for a gimmick of your game, then it's a gimmick for your game. But you have to do it in a way that feels good. That's just objective. It has to feel good to play in order for people to want to play it. If it doesn't feel good, no one will like it. There. And I know there's more levels, but I'm going to leave it here. Thank you guys for watching. You know what? I'm liking this platformer because it's actually good. Never mind too hard. Well, I just got the chance to my content on my lap. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.